It's 10 p.m. here in Korea. Good to have you with us at this hour. I'm Daniel Choy, here to provide you with the latest. Let's start with the first story that's been making headlines all day here in South Korea. Police have released a note left by a National Intelligence Service employee who died over the weekend in an apparent suicide. The note could shed new light on allegations the spy agency wiretapped citizens using a smartphone hacking tool. Ji Myung-kil starts us off.
The spy agency employee, surnamed Im, was found dead in a car on Saturday on a road in Yongin, Gyeonggi-do province. In the car, authorities also found a 3-page handwritten note that could help resolve questions about where and how the NIS used the hacking program. Last week, the NIS chief said the agency bought the program from an Italian company in 2012, but said the purchase was made to monitor North Korean spies. Im, who authorities say purchased and ran the hacking program, wrote in the note that the NIS never used it to monitor civilians or other citizens in relation to elections. He also admitted to deleting information about the program from the NIS system. The note said, in part, "I decided to delete information that created misunderstandings about our counterterrorism and covert operations on North Korea, but there is nothing to worry about regarding my actions." Authorities now say the information can be recovered. Korea's rival parties had mixed reactions to the note. The ruling Saenuri party said once the deleted information is restored, the truth will be revealed and urged the country's political parties not to overreact. The main opposition New Politics Alliance for Democracy party urged a thorough investigation into the case, saying that it must have felt burdened by his knowledge of the program, leading him to commit suicide. The NIS plans to give lawmakers the usage records of the controversial hacking program next week to ease concerns that covert operations were carried out on ordinary citizens. Ji Myung-kil, Arirang News.
Moving over to a different story now. As of Sunday, Korea was without any new cases of Middle East Respiratory Syndrome or MERS for 14 days, and there have been no fatalities for 8 days. The health ministry says the number of people diagnosed with the virus remains unchanged at 186, and the death toll is flat at 36. Of the confirmed cases, 136 people have made full recoveries. Just 68 people are in isolation following possible exposure to the MERS coronavirus. That's 98 fewer than the day before, and a vast improvement from the nearly 16,700 people in isolation over the course of the outbreak that began on May 20th. If no additional MERS cases are diagnosed by midnight July 20th, Monday, Samsung Medical Center, considered the epicenter of the virus, will resume normal operations at that time. Kwon Duk-chul, head of the government's MERS task force, said the center has met all the necessary conditions to reopen. Voter turnout was nearly 100% for North Korea's first local election since Kim Jong-un came to power in 2011. It helped that there was only one candidate on the ballot for each post, and the candidates on the ballot are expected to win. Plus, abstaining and voting no are both considered acts of treason. The election for provincial governors, mayors, and other local government officials gives Kim the opportunity to shape the parliament for the next 4 years. It is held every 4 years and is closely overseen by the ruling Workers' Party. A long-standing wage hike dispute between the two Koreas at the inter-Korean Kaesong industrial complex has continued to strain relations between the two sides since earlier this year. And as our Shin Se-min reports, there seems to be no resolution in sight.
The payday for workers at the Kaesong Industrial Complex for the month of June is Monday, but the workers there won't be getting a pay hike as demanded by the North earlier this year. The two sides failed once again to resolve their differences on an ongoing dispute over the minimum wage when they met for government-level talks on Thursday. It was the first meeting of the Joint Committee that oversees the industrial park since June of last year, and the first government-level contact between the two following a round of working-level military talks last October. The two sides closed the meeting by promising to meet again, but without setting a date for a meeting. The wage row there has strained inter-Korean relations since February. That's when Pyongyang unilaterally demanded that Seoul raise the minimum monthly wage for North Korean workers by over 5% to $74. Seoul rejected the move, calling it a breach of a 2004 agreement stipulating that the two sides set wages together. In late May, the North accepted the South's tentative offer to pay wages at the current amount of $70.35, buying some time for further talks on the issue. 신세민, Arirang News.
Seoul's top nuclear envoy Hwang Jung-kook is traveling to China on Sunday, has traveled to China on Sunday to meet with his Chinese counterpart Wu Da-wei for discussions on the North Korea nuclear issue. A South Korean government source told Seoul-based Yonhap News this is the right time for the two to meet, as China must be thinking about its relationship with the regime following the recent Iran nuke deal. Hwang will be visiting Shanghai and then Beijing until Friday for talks with experts including scholars, researchers, and journalists. Some analysts point out China, as North Korea's economic lifeline and diplomatic backer, holds the key to pressuring Pyongyang to return to the long-stalled six-party denuclearization talks. The talks last held in 2008 also involves the U.S., Japan, and Russia. Eighth round of trilateral working-level talks on a free trade agreement between Korea, China, and Japan gets underway this week in Beijing as the three countries aim to sort out their remaining differences. Seoul's Trade Ministry said Sunday that the three countries will focus on issues like modalities for lifting tariffs and ways to free the service and investment sectors. The trilateral talks are set to continue for a week, and the chief negotiators from the three countries will meet again in China sometime in September. If the deal is signed, it will mark Seoul's first trade pact with Tokyo, as it already has a deal with Beijing. A UNESCO document conveying official recognition to industrial facilities in Japan as World Heritage Sites was posted to the organization's website on Sunday. It describes how in the 1940s a large number of Koreans was brought to the site against their will and was forced to work under harsh conditions. Nearly 60,000 Koreans were forcibly recruited to work at 7 of the 23 sites, which were added to the UNESCO list earlier this month. Moving on to other parts of our world, the former Greek finance minister Yanis Varoufakis is never shy about speaking his mind, and in a recent interview with the BBC, he said the financial reforms imposed on his country are going to fail. In the interview, Varoufakis said the reforms imposed in exchange for an 86 billion euro or $93.6 billion lifeline will go down in history as the greatest disaster of macroeconomic management ever. Even before Varoufakis left his job as part of a new bailout deal to keep Athens in the Eurozone, he accused his country's creditors of terrorism and trying to instill fear in people. On Friday, German lawmakers voted overwhelmingly to back the bailout move, Greece's third such rescue plan in 5 years. Fresh from winning shareholders' approval for a merger with a key affiliate, Samsung C&T has rolled out its vision for the coming 5 years. The construction arm of Samsung Group said Sunday that with the merger, it is aiming to garner sales of 60 trillion won or over $52 billion by the year 2020. That's a jump of over 10% from now. The company also said it will seek to expand and make stronger inroads into the bio-industry sector and secure a place at the top of the global fashion and leisure sectors. Within the Samsung Group, Samsung C&T will be neck and neck with Samsung Electronics in terms of sales and property holdings. Last week, Samsung C&T shareholders endorsed a $7.7 billion all-stock travel takeover bid of affiliate Jail Industries slated for completion by September 1st. Many sci-fi movie features seemingly impossible technologies that transcend time and space. But according to our Won Ji-hyun, some of these technologies might soon become a reality, as Korean scientists are working on a number of interactive technologies that bring together the virtual and the real world. Take a look.
Imagine being able to directly interact with a person who's far away and also reading their facial expressions as if you're seeing them from a close distance. Well, wonder no more, as this can be done through new interactive technology developed by researchers from Sangmyeong University. Scientists say the technology will take virtual meetings to the next level as it can analyze a person's emotion and concentration level.
The technology can accurately track the movements of your facial muscles, which show how you're reacting to something. By analyzing brainwave responses, one can tell how truthful or credible a person is being.
Here's another technology that can make you feel as if you were at a certain place without actually being there. This camera with special sensors can record three-dimensional data of your surroundings to create a virtual reality map of those locations for a 3D tour. And scientists say such virtual technology will change the way we interact in the future.
The technology will allow us to directly interact with people in remote areas. For instance, we can use it for long-distance education to make students feel as if they were in the same classroom with a teacher who's actually far away.
Experts predict that the interactive virtual technology market will take off by 2018. Until then, Korean scientists will focus on building a strong network in the technological sector to gain an upper hand in the market. Won Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
And now the weather. Rain is expected nationwide on Monday, and up to 30 millimeters of rain is expected in Gyeongsangnam-do and Jeollanam-do provinces. Temperature-wise, Seoul will start the day at 23 degrees Celsius. Similar temperatures are expected in Daejeon, Gwangju, Daegu, Busan, and Jeju. That's Korea for you. Let's take a look at the weather conditions around the world. And that brings us to the end of our newscast. Thank you so much for watching. Do have a great start to your new week.